Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to r/Malicious Compliance. One of my favorite subreddits with some of the best stories you can just imagine. And this first post by user/ARS Torok is absolutely no exception, so let's get straight into it. Before we begin, dear readers, a brief bit of backstory. I found that every company has a Todd. You'll know who your Todd is because he is who you call when you don't know who to call. When the unthinkable happens and everything is on fire and there is no hope of salvation, Todd steps in to fix it. Todd spends his entire time just fixing the unfixable. He's been with the company since the dawn of time, knows the true names of several demons, and was in the room when the old magic was written. Our Todd has an elite team to be on call when stuff breaks. Each team member is the highest authority in the company for one specific thing or another. They are the elite. Their word is law, and to question them is to question Todd. Our story begins shortly after I had accomplished the greatest goal and became the newest member of Todd's team. Now, my company works with point of sale. We sell computers, software, printers, card readers, and pretty much anything you need to take money from someone else. After years of working in the call center, I proved myself worthy of Todd's attention. I interviewed, tested, and became the specialist of third-party integration. My focus is the connection between our product and whatever weird stuff your company wants us to use. Examples of this include getting smart lights to change on command from ordering kiosks, letting the staff control the new jukebox you bought with their employee ID cards, or getting the sales data for the day report to your Canadian counterparts, in both French and English, but only if someone buys the Poutine-saurus surprise that day, and other fun conundrums that only the client can fathom. It's important to note that during my time in the call center, I was paid hourly. As a specialist, I would be made a salaried employee, and would be on call. After accepting the position, I was told that I would have a trial period of 1 month to prove myself. I would remain hourly, but would have a pay increase to more closely match my expected rate as a salaried employee. I would have the title change and new responsibilities of my job, but I had this month to prove I was worth the extra dinaro. The first day of my job, we got a call from one of our more needy clients. They lay out a series of demands. All of their stores must be upgraded to Windows 10. As each store makes about 10k a day, taking them down for a remodel is not acceptable. All of these upgrades must be done overnight while the store is closed. If the upgrade fails, the store must be rolled back that night so that they can open hourly. The window of time to do one of these upgrades is 8 hours. The fastest they've been able to do one is 10 hours. All of this means one thing. They need a specialist to do the upgrades. One that knows their integration. I give Todd the put me in coach nod and a deal is struck. Todd's about to leave on vacation, which leaves me under the control of Steve, the director of the support center, who used to be my boss before I worked for Todd. I'm now on overnights. 4 nights a week, I upgrade these stores. I supervise 2 or 3 technicians who are on site in separate stores. I do all the software, they do the hardware. This process is staggered and based on time zones, so I generally am pulling 12-hour shifts. The overtime is amazing, especially paired with the raise I got. Fast forward a week or two, the initial batch doesn't go the best. I have a 40% failure rate. This is due to scripts provided to both the client and me by various third-party companies used by the stores, including their music, food delivery, and credit card processors. Everyone on their side know who the bad guy is here. Talks are in place and we're moving forward. A meeting between the client and us is scheduled near the end of the week, right in the middle of my off time. As I said, I'm working 12 hours a day. I live a full hour from work and for security reasons can't do these upgrades outside the office. I have 10 hours to eat, sleep, get up and eat again before work. Once I get to work, there are no breaks on the upgrade train. No lunch, no stopping. So I get home around 11 AM each day. The meeting is set for 4 PM. I can't get any reasonable sleep before the meeting or after. Steve demands that I be there to account for my failures. I already have another specialist designed as my proxy for these sort of meetings, because sleep's a thing. I also explain that I'm still hourly, but he won't hear it. He insists that I need to be there to explain why the project is going so poorly, and that my explanation better not just be throwing other people under the bus. He tries to explain that I'm salaried and therefore need to be there when the company needs me, especially when I'm the one who's screwing up. Again, I try to remind him of my probationary period, but he won't listen. And there, my friends, begins the malicious compliance. I clock in at 10 PM the day before the meeting. I do my upgrades, all 3 of which are successes, due to what I assume is a change in third-party backend. The scripts I'm provided with work perfectly this time, and all goes well. The corporate contact I report to in the morning tells me the meeting is just to go over the new changes to procedure we went through that night, and I will get the Cliffs Notes in my email. No need to attend the meeting. I thank them and sign out. Then I sit. For 6 hours, I twiddle my thumbs, take a lunch break and a car nap, and wait for the meeting. When it's time, I walk upstairs to the top floor to the conference room, where everyone but Steve is shocked to see me. I calmly take my place and wait for the meeting to start, stating that I was asked to be here. The meeting lasts 30 minutes and consists of the new procedure, praise for my diligence, and a quick overview of how the timetable will change because of the past failures. It's noted that my performance has prevented a lot of sites from failing when they would have otherwise, and the client is pleased with my work. Steve, who had previously blamed me for the failures, sheepishly agrees that I was a good fit for the project. Then the meeting ends with the best part. The person giving the talk states that she knows I'm asleep right now, so she'll go over the changes with me personally when I get in tonight. Meanwhile, the guy I asked to sit in on the meeting for me will work with them to set up the changes to be deployed. About 3 hours of work, so that it's all ready when I get in at 10. The meeting ends, Steve makes a comment about the changes being done by someone with more experience, and hints that it should be my responsibility. I cheerfully say that rather than waste my co-workers' time, I'll just do the changes myself. I have my 3rd or 4th win by now, and am ready to go. At the end of day 2, I've spent 36 hours at work. Caffeine is my only salvation. And we're almost done. Near the end, I'm basically waiting for a technician at my last store to finish testing, so I tell him to call me and shut my eyes for about half an hour, just to rest a bit. All is well, I get called, everything is green. Vigil is over. 2 of my friends insist on driving me home, where I promptly pass out in the most heavenly sleep I've had in ages. I wake up to an email asking me to head into work for a meeting with HR. It's my day off, so I'm kind of perplexed. I head on in and apologize for being fashionably late. The meeting is with the head of HR, who has a report that I was sleeping on the job. There's camera footage of my 30-minute power nap. I calmly explain that Steve had asked me to show up to the meeting and then asked me to stay later to set up the changes. And by the time I took my nap, during what I called my paid 30-minute break, I'd been in the building for 35 hours. I politely reminded the HR head that I'm on my trial period and will be expecting overtime pay for that time. It came out to about 33 hours and change due to my extended lunch break. Todd returned from his vacation and taught Steve a new definition of duties. From then on, he would not be given control over Todd's team when he was away, and we would report directly to the CEO. The project completed without much incident, and I passed my probation with flying colours. And clearly, Todds are superior men who deserve respect like no other. Fixing problems that no one else can is a hard and noble task that should be rewarded appropriately. And here's our next post by user/Filipino Panda. When I was 15, I got my first paid job working for the fair. It was a pretty big fair that travelled across Canada and along the east coast of the US, ending in Florida for Christmas. If you've ever been to the PNE, Pacific National Exhibition, or CNE, Canadian National Exhibition, Red River X, Calgary Stampede, and whatever they call it in Edmonton and Regina, that's the one. I loved this summer job because it was short, only a week as I didn't travel, and gave me enough cash to get through the summer. I worked for the privately owned donut vendor, which tasted better and paid better than the show donut vendors. Fast forward 4 years, when I decided to travel with the show. I was 19 and it was easier to travel at this point because I could sign my own forms. And being 19, I needed more money for school and the like. We start in my home city and make our way across the country visiting city after city. We were in Edmonton when our story really begins. Now, the travel crew is pretty small and we hire our bagging and cashiers locally. I, along with the senior crew members, are in charge of training the baggers, re-oiling the machines, switching out the dough canisters, and making sure they're running and putting out donuts in a consistent manner. As I'm checking dough levels and teaching a bagger how to efficiently fill bags for the evening rush, I hear a commotion behind me. Cue entitled woman. No, I want the fresh ones. Mom, these are fresh. I just made them. No, I want them to be fresh. Make me new ones. I didn't see you make those. They could be old. It was 9 in the morning. At this point in the day, most donuts are made to order, so those donuts wouldn't have been older than 5 minutes. The bagger calls me to turn on his machine to start the donuts. These machines are so temperamental and really old because the owner built them himself many moons ago. But I love them because they make perfect donuts that travel in a circular conveyor belt in 400-degree oil. They are a lot of fun to watch. I start the machine and scoop out the first few rejects and make 15 donuts. The donuts fall off the belt into the glass case and the bagger slots them into the sugar and into the bag. He hands them to her and she dramatically sighs. No, I want the fresh ones and those have touched the old ones. How do I know you didn't mix them up? I don't believe they're fresh. I want fresh donuts. Mom, those are fresh. I made sure to pick only the new ones out. Again, she huffs and puffs, so I fire up the machine again, scoop out the rejects, and make 15 donuts. This time, I grab the new bag and place the bag right under the chute so the donuts have no choice but to fall into the bag. They do, I hand it to the bagger and walk away just to have to turn around again. No, I want the ones directly out of the oil. That way I know they're fresh. Those ones have cooled down and are not fresh anymore. Sorry, Mom, but that's against the policy. The oil is 400 degrees. And besides, they're not done cooking. I want the fresh ones. Get me your supervisor. My supervisor is off doing supervisor things, and I don't feel like calling her. She's also a lifer and doesn't take flack from anyone, and I know if I call her and she's busy, this woman will leave crying. So I avoid this and say, I'm the supervisor on duty right now, and the policy states we can't give you donuts from the oil. There is no policy, but it's common frickin' sense. I've been a patron of this company for so many plus years. I've never been denied a fresh donut. This is so unprofessional. I want to talk to the owner right now. At this point, I'm on day 5 of this show, and we work an hour before open to an hour after the close. Depending on the show, and after some new laws, roughly 16 hours daily. I'm tired of her, and in general, that's when I get a brilliant idea. I smile. There's no need for that. I'll get you your fresh donuts. I start up the machine and again discard the rejects. I then grab a bag and let the donuts plop into the oil for half a second, and scoop them out immediately. Not long enough to get hot, but also not long enough to hold a shape. I then take the bag of dough and sprinkle in some cinnamon sugar and say as sugary as I can muster. Here you go. Sorry for the inconvenience. Enjoy the rest of your day. She smiles smugly, having thought she got her way. About 10 paces later, she stuck her hand into the bag and I hear a squeal, a snarl, and then swearing. That's when Greg, not his real name, one of the senior machine guys, returned from his break. Greg was a bloody legend when it comes to dealing with Karens. He makes it a hobby to seek them out for fun on his break so he can tear into them. He once told a heavy customer in a scooter that he would not sell her 50 bags of donuts because he didn't want to be responsible for her coronary and could not have that on his heart, and that she should take her business to the other donut stall. He can be quite savage. I don't condone his behavior, and sometimes he scares me, but this is also why I like working under him, because it means Karens never get away with this. The woman came storming back and demanded a refund and demanded I be fired. He asked why and she screamed, "That jerk sold me a bag of dough!" Craig asked me if that was true. I smiled sheepishly and said yes, and explained that she didn't want the fresh donuts off the belt. She wanted the fresh donuts from the oil and would not leave till I gave them to her. Craig turned to her and said, "Sorry for that, but we don't issue refunds to idiots, so take your fresh donuts and leave before I start pelting you with these donuts. You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3. She tried to huff and puff, at which point he took the bag of donuts she didn't want and began pelting her with them. After she left, he told me he was proud of me and would let the boss know. I got an extra $100 in my per diem for that week. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. It doesn't get much fresher than what OP gave this Karen, but she still was unhappy and got what she deserved. But guys, I think that story will be the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos 3 times every single week. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.